Welcome to the Javits Center in New York City, home of New York Toy Fair. We're about to wrap up this year's event, and it's crazy. This is my 14th year covering Toy Fair. The event where all of the toy companies, big to small, selling all kinds of different toys, from collector toys all the way down to the fun stuff that kids love. They are all here, all hoping to show off their new products. And of course, I come to this event every year to see what's new in the world of action figures. So I thought it might be fun to talk about some of the more interesting things I saw here at the show this year, some of the new news items that dropped. So come with me, let's have a chat. I know that everybody watching this really only cares about the collector stuff. You want to know NECA, you want to know Super 7, you want to know Marvel Legends and MOTU, but I got to tell you, like, the majority of this event is kids' toys, because that's still the biggest part of this industry. And I love the energy here. I love the vibe. I love seeing the creative things that these toy companies are coming up with. It's fun, and it always kind of reminds me like why I started liking toys to begin with. I love the fun of this place. Just wanted to say that. I'm about to show you guys the coolest thing at New York Toy Fair, and it's over here in the Moose Toys booth. Are you ready for this? Here come the grannies. But watch this, watch.
Yeah! Make sure you pick up some beans for dinner, Rita.
How can you beat that? How could anybody beat that? This is the best toy in this entire building. I have to say, I think the loyal subjects might be one of the biggest surprises at the show, because they've really shifted the type of product that they're doing. Now, they no longer have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which might be a bit of a blow to some of the folks out there that really liked the Best Action series. Really seems like that line is no longer around. I didn't see anything for Best Action in here, but what they do have is just a total nostalgia overload. Obviously, the biggest news coming out of this is the fact that they now have Mask, which is a property that folks have wanted to see a proper reboot of for a long time, and they look good. But on top of that, they're still running with things like Gem, which recently hit Walmart, and there's more coming, and they look very cool. They've already got Rainbow Bright and Strawberry Shortcake, but they're bringing back the Popples, and they're bringing back My Pet Monster, which, come on. All of that stuff is just really hitting that inner 80s child inside of me, and I love to see it. This is a Care Bear using an escalator. New York Toy Fair, baby. I'm just gonna stand behind him and wave at everybody just like him. Hi, everybody. Okay, so there's been a lot of big news as far as moves go at New York Toy Fair, and there's all this scuttlebutt, all this speculation, and we don't have a lot of solid answers on much of it yet. But let's talk about one of the biggest ones. The biggest move that was announced before the show is that the DC Comics license has reverted back to Mattel, or Mattel won it back. So Mattel only said in our press walkthrough that they are very excited about DC. They take over for a product line in 2026, but they have nothing else to reveal at this time. So we'll have to stay tuned to see what Mattel is planning with DC. On the McFarlane Toys front, they did say that they have the license through 2025, and then that sounds like it. So if you are a collector of the DC Multiverse line from them, it looks like you've got this one more year of product coming from those. Now, they did say there's still a lot of releases happening throughout 2025. They said it was TBD on exactly when it was going to be stopping. So no solid news on when all of it's ending, and we still don't know for certain if that includes superpowers or not. So time will tell on that. So really interesting stuff going on there with the DC license. And then the other thing that a lot of fans have been wondering about is Diamond Select Toys. What is their fate with Diamond distributors going out of business? And at this time, I was told that it is still business as usual at Diamond Select Toys. They are separate from Diamond Distributors, but they're under that umbrella. And with the bankruptcy, I think they are just selling off assets, which would mean that Diamond Select Toys is probably just going to be moved somewhere. But they were confident that things were just going to remain as they are. So it sounds like, as of right now, Diamond Select Toys is still going to be working business as usual. Hasbro. You know what's really interesting about this is the first time that Hasbro has actually been inside the Javits Center with the rest of Toy Fair. A lot of times, or at least every other time that I've been to Toy Fair over the last 14 years, Hasbro has just held their own event at the Times Center up the street. So you've always had to leave Toy Fair to go see Hasbro. So it was a very different experience this time. This year they held a fan event one of the evenings where all of the press media came at the same time. They showed a lot of new reveals. Just like their old events at the Times Center, it was crowded, it was hectic, it was kind of hard to get to a lot of the stuff, which is why I missed a lot of the new reveals in my video coverage. It was very hard to do, but I'm sure all that stuff is out there. You've all seen it at this point. Inside the booth was still really nice. They're doing some fun stuff in there. I will say that a lot of the stuff they're doing for G.I. Joe Classified is pretty mind-blowing. Seeing a lot of the Marvel stuff. Rom the Space Knight, favorite thing coming from Marvel here at the show for me personally. But they're doing a lot of fun things in here at Hasbro too. One of the things that completely blew my mind, honestly, and this is going into the kids category, but the fact that they have a massive display inside the Hasbro booth for a Barbie product. That is so weird. Such different times that we're in right now with the toy companies. But they're doing a Play-Doh Barbie crossover where you have a Barbie doll and you make her clothes and hair out of Play-Doh. It's crazy seeing these Mattel Hasbro hybrids. Wow, what a crazy time to be into toys. Oh my gosh.
But as you see, as they're hitting the wall,
they're basically just disappearing. Yeah, oh my gosh. That's awesome. That is super fun.
yeah, it's like everyone's like, this is kind of like therapy.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I love it. So what you see up there? That's the Mattel showroom. So that's the big showroom that sits up above the rest of the show floor that houses all of Mattel's products. It's one of the harder places to get into. And it's because their showroom is filled with some of the hottest brands. You gotta realize that most of that showroom is stuff like Barbie and Hot Wheels. But of course, some of their other larger things like WWE and Jurassic World take up pretty good chunks of the showroom. But Masters of the Universe does have a bigger presence in there than they used to in the past. In many years past, Masters of the Universe was always considered just sort of like that fan brand, so they really only did special events to show off a new Masters of the Universe product. But this year, right up there in the showroom with everything else, and He-Man is part of the branding everywhere. I loved seeing the He-Man silhouette just in with all of the Mattel branding all around, so that is really nice. Now, they did say, big push for the upcoming live-action movie. They're really kind of banking a lot on that, it seems, as far as like making this brand bigger. So I think that is obviously the hope of everybody, is that this movie does good enough that it brings more awareness to the brand, keeps the brand growing. That certainly seems to be what Mattel is hoping for. As far as figures that were on display, they did have a small amount of new figures for the Origins cartoon collection and Masterverse. Not too many new reveals. Bigger focus on Thundercats MOTU, but again, it's mostly stuff we have already seen before. There was some leaked stuff that came out that they did not have up there yet, that they also asked that we not talk about yet. You've likely already seen the photos of those. I do think more of that stuff is going to be coming up very soon with more details. I also know that their revealed event is happening soon, so I will say I wish that we had more of that stuff here to see in person at the show, especially when it comes to bigger items. I think this would have been a great place to show that stuff off. So I hope that Mattel will kind of take that into consideration. I know they want to do their like live stream events, but nothing beats getting like hands-on with the stuff and allowing us to get like hands-on looks at some of these bigger reveals so that people can get a better look at the products. I think that would have been a much better way to reveal these things, in my opinion. I will say two more interesting things I want to talk about from Mattel. Number one, the Polly Pocket section is awesome. I've been a big fan of what they're doing with the Polly Pocket brand because I love micro play sets, but I specifically made sure to bring up to them that we want to see more Mighty Max. I didn't obviously get any sort of like, yeah, we're gonna do it type of answers, but they took notes. So just know I'm fighting for Mighty Max. I don't know if that matters for anything. Number two, their new building block brand is really interesting. Mega Constructs is no more. This new building block that they are introducing is replacing Mega Constructs entirely. It's a totally different feel to the bricks. They definitely feel pretty good as far as locking together, but I think time will tell on the building sets. They had nothing to reveal for sets. They couldn't tell me what the minifigs were gonna look like. They wouldn't even tell me if that they were similar to Mega Constructs or if it was something entirely new. So I think that's a really interesting piece of news for that world coming out of the Mattel showroom. So obviously this is one of my hottest places to check out because of MOTU. Fun stuff. Wish we would have seen a little bit more, but there's my breakdown. Yes, now for this part, we have to use this secret soundproof podcasting station that's in the press lounge because we're going to talk about what I think were the best things at New York Toy Fair. This is an exciting time. There's always new reveals. We're always excited to see what these toy companies are going to bring, and I'm sure you all have your favorite things. But here are some of the things I thought were some of the coolest items at the show. First of all, I love to see the O-ring revolution continuing. I thought that outside of the G.I. Joe Reaction Plus figures, seeing Super 7 bring the Universal Monsters into that O-ring 3.75 build is a really exciting idea. Those look like fun toys, and I'm excited to see what other plans they might have for the Reaction Plus O-ring style. Now look, Ninja Turtles has basically been done by every toy company at this point, and we even got news at the show that McFarlane Toys is doing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is pretty crazy to think about, another company joining that. Now, we got to see them here at the show. We weren't allowed to actually show them yet, but there are solicitations out there giving you an idea of what those are going to be about. There's a lot of turtles, and sometimes I feel like I'm just a little overwhelmed with it at this point. I don't know what's left to collect. I do know I was excited to see the 2012 Ninja Turtles from NECA Toys, and I will say they did not disappoint. The 4 turtles look great. I love the accessories, including some of the little sidekicks like Ice Cream Kitty. We also got to see Shredder and Foot Soldiers, which I was not expecting, and we even got some teasers because there was a little cheese wheel, the cheese phone, and we saw the little Spike turtle and the big mace weapon belonging to Slash. Now, while those were exciting and definitely some of my favorite things I saw at the show, I think the show stealer for me from NECA Toys has to be the Stan Sakai Ninja Turtles. I was not expecting something like that, and yes, it's just another batch of turtles to buy, but it's an amazing art style that translated so well to action figure form. I think they're so expressive, and they are so much fun. I also have to give an honorable mention to the Metaluna Mutant Krang, with that amazing James Groman sculpt. And while we're talking about NECA Toys, we can't forget about the Jaws. I know fans have been wanting to see a proper Jaws for a long time, and he looks amazing, but the fact that they also worked in a feature so he works like the old board game is pretty insane in all the right ways. So those are certainly among some of my personal favorite things that I saw here at the show. So there you go. That's New York Toy Fair 2025, baby. I hope you guys enjoyed my coverage, and hey, let's do it again next year.